Alright, so now that we have a pretty good understanding of genetics and Punnett squares, genotypes, phenotypes, we're now going to start to apply it to how can we look at genotypes and how they're passed along from generation to generation. And so assignment number 54 that you have is called the Blue People of Kentucky. Now when you first think of blue people, some of you might think of these guys. Others of you might think of these guys. Blue Man Group, if you've never seen them. Very, 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 very entertaining. Or you might think of these people. Avatars. And finally, maybe you think of X-Men. All right, but we do have some real people that aren't in the movies that have blue skin, like this guy. And this guy actually was not born with blue skin. I actually forget his name, but he had some type of skin condition and read somewhere online or did research and found that if he added a certain cream with a lot of metal in it, I forget which kind, whether it was nickel or iron or something, it would help his skin condition, or maybe it was cobalt, I think, and actually didn't help. It turned him blue. And finally, we come to these folks. The Foo Gatti Klan. And this is what you should have read about in your Blue People of Kentucky packet. And so a long time ago, this is a true story, we have this clan of people that lived in Kentucky, and some of them were known to have blue skin. And so if you look at the pedigree on the next page, right, and a pedigree is basically like a family tree, but we're going to look at how genes are passed on from parents to offspring. You see that we have certain members of the pedigree, certain members of the family that do not have blue skin, and those are in black. And then the people that did have blue skin, those people are kind of shaded gray, right, and they would be blue. So at the bottom on your key, I want you to just add genotypes for non-blue skin. They would be homozygous dominant, 2 capital B's, or they'd be heterozygous, right? Because they carry a non-blue skin gene which would hide the blue skin gene. If the people did have blue skin, they would be homozygous recessive. All right? And so now looking at the pedigree, what I'd like you to do and what you're going to do in future assignments is assign genotypes to the members. So the easiest ones to assign them to are the blue people. If they're blue, that means they must have both recessive alleles. So if you fill in your pedigree, you can put 2 lowercase b's over each of these individuals. All right. Then you go back and you find out, well, who was a carrier? Who carried this recessive allele? And so if Martin Foo Gatti had blue skin, he married this girl named Elizabeth Smith. If they had a kid that had blue skin, that means that Elizabeth Smith must have been heterozygous, or she must have been what is called a carrier. All right. They had 8 kids, and at least 4 of them were blue. One of them being this guy Levi. Levi married this girl Mahala. They had 8 kids, and one of them was blue. So again, if they had a kid that was blue, that means dad can only give a recessive allele. Mom must be a carrier, capital B, lowercase b. All right, moving on down to that blue child named Luna. Luna eventually married a man named John Stacy. They had 13 kids. Not one of them was blue. Pretty good chance with 13 kids, if nobody turned blue, that dad, John Stacy, was homozygous dominant. He did not carry that recessive blue skin allele. All right. But moving forward, Bill Stacy married a girl named Mary Elizabeth Ritchie. They had kids, Alva, and Alva married this girl Hilda, and eventually Alva and Hilda had a grandkid named Ben. So that means that that blue gene, that blue allele, must have been carried on. So Bill Stacy must have been a carrier. Now, Mary Elizabeth Ritchie, we're not too sure. She could either be homozygous dominant or she could be a carrier. Still not sure. All right. Moving on to Alva. If Alva's dad's family kind of had that blue skin trait, that must mean that Alva is a carrier. And if Alva's a carrier and he had a kid that is blue, that must mean that his wife Hilda was also a carrier. All right. And so you should have your pedigree kind of filled in like this on your assignment sheet, and then you're going to answer those remaining questions. Once you finish answering those questions of the packet, all right, you're going to actually be asked to create a Punnett square, and so please do so. All right.